Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3. This is episode 42, and we are into the last 13 years of this playthrough, so it's time to get down and get dirty. But can we? Big question. We are number one, the US of A, United Syndicates of America. Yes, the communists. The flag may have turned red, but the map is still very much a painted blue situation, as the Rolling Stones famously once sang when they were feeling a little blue instead of black one day. But we are 400 prestige ahead of Austria. We are 80 million ahead of them in GDP, and that's where we had been lacking. The standard of living is one of those things that's really helped them out, and our population is much larger, 40 million ahead of them. But Great Chang has a large population. Italy has been looking stronger of late. We need to check in on just how strong are these opponents, because we have a lot of infamy, which means we're going to draw a lot of attention if we are going to quickly paint the map. Great Chang is definitely strong. We are a little bit stronger, and they definitely do not have a navy. So that's one thing to consider in that. Russia is always one to consider as they are nearby, but they're weak. So don't worry about Russia. We don't need to worry about anybody in the Americas, as they are relatively weak. Scandinavia is one of our closest enemies, but they too are not a threat. The threats could and should come from somewhere around here. Portugal's weak. Spain has some battalions, has some strength. They're not nothing, but we can handle them. The British Republic have barely increased in strength for a long time. They're not a threat. Italy, number 3, big time threat. They're strong. They're good. France, not as much, but certainly not nothing. Belgium, the Netherlands. What about Prussia? Well, Prussia's still pretty up there. The Ottomans, not really. Austria is still stronger than we are. They are still stronger than we are. How strong are we? 4189, 4803. You're close. We are very close. But Austria still poses that threat. And, your Prussia, your Italy, your France, a little bit Spain. Combined, man oh man, would that be a problem for us. You kind of want to throw everything at it, but you don't want to throw everything at it when you're facing the challenges that we face. Alright, I was able to turn construction up to essentially double what it was. It does, in the short term, give us a negative, but this is going to allow us to be crazy aggressive on economy growth here on out for the rest of this playthrough. Huge increase of coal coming. Clothing needs to be addressed as well. So let's hit up clothing. And the beautiful thing is this is all going to happen ridiculously fast now. Speaking of clothing, there's a sign of where we can get some of that from. Is this is one of the few areas I hadn't turned it up. We're going to do this as well, though. Luxury clothes, that was a big time need. That puts us, but I do know that at the very least we will need some additional ones. And this might be a good time to jump back in to the quest for who needs to get to level 5. Speaking of that quest, we're at 29% still. Can't quite get where we need to be with that one. And almost instantly, we top 600 million in the GDP department as we are, pushing in that massive direction of growth. I think we're going to easily make up the deficit that we have here quite quickly. We do have some bureaucracy available. Again, we could maybe turn welfare back up. We could turn workplace safety. Oh, we could definitely turn up law enforcement. We should just be turning them all up. Government administration would be easy to cover off. Just like that, we're back to a positive balance, despite doubling our construction. And we finished the 5-year plan. Okay, we're turning it up enough. We're going to have a bureaucratic shortfall, so that's easy enough fix. Left over from the war and that transition of power, I had a lot of industries that were still turned down. I've just turned them all up. The economy is going to fluctuate and change for a little bit, but for the moment, it's down about 60,000. We'll have to recover that, but it is going to ultimately make production a lot higher in various areas. In the short term, we're seeing the GDP already jump by 20 million. And if we're going to start making diplomatic plays, I think we're going to need to get on with that soon. Uruguay is one we haven't done anything with. Start. Who's that going to be? Bring in Brazil. Austria would probably side with the enemy, and a number of others would possibly get involved. What if we went after Brazil itself? I think Mato Grosso would link us up in the middle, so that might be a good place to start. Austria would side with the enemy. It's not too bad from that type of location if that's the case. Venezuela, do we have truce? 4 more years. Mexico's the first one that Austria's not interested in. Italy could be, but I'm not fearing them, and especially with Mexico being quite easy. So we'll make a play on Sinaloa to ease off that part, and then hopefully, they want to stand up against us, because we could get the rest of this if they decide they want to put up a fight. So we are able to just squeeze our way in to all of Mexico for the war goals. So we could potentially be 100% done with Central America if they decide they want to put up a fight. They have been joined by Italy for this one, meaning Italy's capable of putting up a fight. For now, we'll just mobilize a couple in advance. We'll see how things are progressing as time goes on here. As we do have ourselves a decent little deficit. We only have 5.5 million credit. We had just gotten ourselves out of that deep hole that we were in, so me turning things up rather significantly isn't necessarily gonna be good for us until we get that balance figured out. Now we have a decent advantage on the front, but if we want to actually advance before Italy shows up, we are going to need to get a third one on the front. For now, they are not backing down, which is what I want. Still no sign of backing down, but usually it'll be right here in that last phase where they would opt to back down. And here comes 172 units on the way. It's going to be a while before they get here. And our advantage grows to a 49. Still not enough, and we're into that final moments. It looks like this might actually happen, in which case it's going to be costly, but we are going to mobilize everyone. It'd be nice if you could just give them all the same order, especially when there's only one front. Before we give ourselves a headache that we don't want to be dealing with later on, we're going to go ahead and turn construction back down to that third tier. And war has broken out with Mexico, so it's on. And it's on, folks. Let's finish this job. We've got a whole lot of troops on the way here shortly, so our advantage is going to get a lot stronger, but they've got a lot of troops on the way. Their troops are going to take much longer to arrive than the presence of ours. And for the short term, we're at a 69% advantage on the front. It's now 75. All we need to do is gain a little bit of territory before the arrival. Nope, there's the arrival. There is the arrival. So that is, well, not what I was expecting. Because we didn't gain any territory in the short term. It means there's going to be a lot of casualties. However, we are already starting to go, the side that you want to go. But here's how you deal with a scenario such as this. We have just enough forces to be neutral on the front, which means we need a new general on a front like the Andes. We are then going to mobilize them, and we're going to pick some other target. Italy, that's all they've got over there, huh? There's no... That's it. Let's find out if there is a naval invasion possibility. Yeah. Like on the rear. right? You open a second front from the rear. They'll have 5 fleets to intercept. That's not a problem. Just like that, the debt issue is not a problem. Oh, we're on credit now. 7 million. Election. Communist Party wins again. 73% of the vote. We are well ahead on the war score, though. How they are so bad, I don't know. Let's find out. We control our war goal. Do we? Ah, we do now. So we have taken some land, but we now have a negative war score for the time being. Probably something to do with the invasion fleet. But this is pulling the score very quickly our direction. They've got a radical population, that partial occupation, and we're keeping it nice and low. And we have opened the front here. They are moving some forces towards it, but you can see very quickly we expand a bit and back them up and occupy some more land, which pulls them back away from the front. And that's all we need. Alright, we're going to get out of debt here pretty quick. I'm not going to do any construction for a moment. At a negative, we got this thing. We'll win. We will win. I'm guessing we still have that one additional unit hanging out. Yes, we do. Let's put them on this secondary front to help out. I haven't really looked too much into the laws as they exist when we only have 11 years to play, and we are, focused on certain things. That command economy absolutely sucks, but interventionism? Do we want to go back to it? Get away from this stupid command economy. It gets you off the subsidization requirement, which would really, really help us out. Let's go for it. 20% chance. The rural folk endorse it. The intelligentsia endorse it. But the 20% is what we're going off of, and nobody's against it. We've somehow burned through the bureaucracy that we did have. We are going to want to add some, especially as we conquer some additional states. We're going to have to handle the bureaucracy of governing those states. And even with this quick project, we've already cut that credit part down to $4.5 billion. We're nearly out of debt, and we are nearly winning this war. On the make peace side, I'm guessing it's not something that they're gonna accept. They're gonna have to capitulate. They're gonna have to get to a -100. Yeah, -283. No surprise on that part. And without invading Italy, I doubt that Italy is gonna want to do much. But at -64, it's gonna be done relatively soon. By the way, we are approaching 100 dead, 100,000 wounded, so about 200K, 3.5 million in terms of the cost of the war as well. It's taken a bit, but hey. We're going to conquer all of Mexico by the end of this one. And actually, we're, 2 to 3 in terms of casualties. So we're actually inflicting a lot more, even though we're on the advance. But -92, -97, -100. And there it is. The peace treaty. There it is, folks. United Syndicates of America. Central America completely united except for the Caribbean. North America completely under our control except for Newfoundland. So we absolutely want to make a play on that before long. I'm guessing this is going to come with us being big time pariahs, and we are. But at 363, it doesn't seem to go higher than what it is. By the way, the urbanization project has grown to 35%, but it's still, still not even half of where it needs to be. We've got a lot to commit. Government administration, the bureaucracy part is fixed. We've got a few more finishing up. Let's check on the next project. Oil seems to be of great need, and tools. Tools comes with a bigger cost that's not, well, I guess decrease-wise, it's about the same. So we'll make a big oil push and then a big tool push. No delays with no time to spare, so we go straight into our next play, which is Cuba. Cuba themselves are easy, and in terms of support, Scandinavia and France, British Republic are the only ones that may step up, but we are now dealing with naval invasions being a necessary part of that, but we do have the Navy to support that. So far, the West Indies have stepped up to support Cuba, and we're looking at Jamaica, the West Indies, and Cuba all being targets for this war. Easy takes if this is all it is. Finally, the Ripper at Large event has finished for the third time. All three variations that we've had. We are going to want to activate at least one army here. By the way, with the acquisition of the rest of Mexico, our population has jumped to well over 100 million. We do have 10 million radicals, though. They don't like us. And this war, so far, they are not backing down. It looks like this might actually happen. And it does. Oh, I'm so grateful. We're going to take half of the Caribbean in one very quick, decisive war. All of this in red is going to soon be ours. Now, to do so, all we have to do is invade. All right, so the invasions are set to begin. We've got about 3 weeks for one. We've got just over a month now, hitting a month for the other. We're going to invade Jamaica first to get the ally and get their territories, and then invade Cuba shortly after. But in either case, there's not anything to stop us, to block us. Enactment success of our law advancement has increased for the second time. We're up to a 50% chance for our third, and there you go, 100%. We're looking at, easily taking land here. There are some, looks like Cuba is sending some troops here to try to hold up, but there we land there, and their troops are now gone, so it's actually going to work out in our favor for a very easy victory, with the Cubans coming to help the Jamaicans, the West Indies nation, and we sneakily get behind them and take, well, all of it. So yeah, that's going to be in the bag, and I love it, because now we're going to be down to Haiti and then what's left of the British Republic here. There is a little tiny French pocket, though. We got to get that, and that little French pocket. We've nearly got the whole of Cuba. We do not yet have the whole of the West Indies, right? Because the island group is not ours. We may or may not need to go in for an invasion on that one, but we're nearly done on the Cuban front here. And at least for Cuba, their war support is getting really low. Okay, Cuba is ready to capitulate, and that part's done. Now we're just dealing with the West Indies there at a -98, so that's going to be done in just a moment. And that finishes as well. There you go. More blue on the map. The big blue blob, yet not France. For those who have played EU4 for a long time, I might have mentioned this in an earlier episode. I don't remember for sure, but France, you can already see there. It's blue. It's big. It's easy in EU4. The US, you could argue that it's easy. It's certainly easier than the other nations we've taken on. But you start out with no army. You start out with potential. But you have a very undivided land. I think I've done a lot more than I expected we would be able to do. So that, there are good things. Buenos Aires with high mortality. What do we got here? So here's where I'm going to make a conscious decision to face the threat of Austria. I'm still worried about Austria. I have not expanded the military yet. Right now I'm trying to hit on some economy things first, and then swallow up what we can in the meantime. That part has gone fantastic so far. I mean, we're making some really rapid progress with some big acquisitions because they're not backing down. But Austria could intervene on this one. But here's the thing. There's no front for Austria to intervene on, and I have not seen the AI yet do an invasion. For me, invading Haiti, by time Austria would send troops to Haiti, it would be after the invasion, and we're going to have them beat long before then. So we're going to beat Haiti with or without Austria in this war. That's my thought. We'll see if that's the case. This is actually 2 separate states, so we're going to want to make sure that we pick up that second one. Oh, and Puerto Rico, so it's 3. Leading their way is Austria and no one else, so that's going to make that easy enough that we should finish these lands here. That'll leave just France and then British Republic in the Caribbean. And so far, Austria opting out. In the meantime, we've gotten out of debt. We have 3 million in gold reserves, but like I said, I turned down construction back to level 3. 273 is still a really good number, so it's not a bad thing. Looks like we might be going to war, as Haiti has not backed down, and that's good because we'll get all 3 states instead of just 1. Alright, so the war is on, and now the naval invasion can happen. Puerto Rico invasion as well, so we're going to make 2. 40 days, will happen. And there it is, interventionism. We are not in a command economy any longer. Therefore, and nobody was against it either, therefore we can get away from subsidizing everything. We can turn things back down. Right now we are spending, it's only 111,000 these days in subsidies. It's not too bad. I'm just happy to not have it be a necessity any longer. This is still something we want to get turned down though. Alright, and both invasion forces have landed, and we're already starting to establish control, winning the initial battles. We took Puerto Rico without a fight, and we are nearly done conquering Haiti, so this is going to go very quickly. Hello, hello, hello. We are number 1, even though we are up to 6,000 prestige. Austria has picked up 1,000 prestige. Their standard of living increased. Their population has gone up by 2 million, yet our GDP, that was barely ahead of theirs, is now 150 million ahead. But they haven't grown. They haven't changed. Maybe they have grown. Maybe they took this little bit here. But that's about it. That's a surprise. That is a surprise. Last front, got them backed into a corner. Already a negative war score. We'll have that done soon enough. Standard of living has jumped to 16.4 with new food. Food's actually happening right now, so it's not even really kicked in, just more clothing. And there you go, capitulation. That's it, that's ours. And oh man, we are just rushing through taking the Caribbean. Not much left there standing in our way. Not much left in the Americas standing in our way. 1827. Now, the big question is, when do we want to take on the British Republic? They themselves are easy, but they're going to have Austria supporting them. Brazil and Uruguay are being supported by Austria as well, and we are waiting on things to expire. The Netherlands could be a target. I hadn't looked at that one. What would we get? Italy would probably side with them, but again, you're looking at a non-shared border, so an invasion, which would be quite easy. Let's do it. Austria in a diplomatic play against the U.S. Hello, hello. We got something going on here, folks. This is what we were expecting. This is what we were expecting. So Austria, as soon as they overtake us, right, as number 1, have decided that they are going to Grand Columbia. This isn't even, that's Dutch Guyana. So what is their play? Liberate Etzo? Oh, no. This is our Dutch Guyana. They've just, not sure how they are. Overlord, Austria. Who knew? Who knew that Austria was the overlord of Netherlands? I certainly did not when I made the play. But this will give us a peace with them, and the only target we needed was there. But what we do have is a shared front down here and here that we're going to have to take very, very quickly. We're going to put most of our military on that. Gosh, Sakhalin as well. Forgot about Sakhalin. So, Herero land for you. And you. We will go to Gabon. And then we will send you to Herero land. Plus one more. You're on the East Coast anyway. And I think we should take these 2 small little pockets to get away from having a shared border with Austria. Ooh, British Republic. British Republic. That gives them a front on our lands. And that's probably going to take everything that I just did and undo it. Alright, well, this is going to get interesting as this war has expanded. And this was over 1 territory, but it's quickly becoming over multiple territories. And speaking of multiple territories. I have room for additional war goals. Let's work on getting the British Republic out of, probably starting with North America, out of Newfoundland. Bahamas and Bermuda, definitely. Italy has also sided with Austria. This is getting tougher. But I don't have any shared borders with Italy. It's just where do they jump in at? I'm not sure we're going to be getting all of our war goals in this, as Oyo has also just jumped in, but Oyo's not going to be a threat there. You see we're already getting onto a number of fronts and have advantages there. And Austria backs down. Wow. Austria, supposedly number one, have backed down and yielded their primary goal, American Guyana, to us, which was Dutch. Maybe because it wasn't really theirs and they were just the overlord anyway. Didn't think that their Dutch subject was worth the fight over. Could be. I don't think we were that intimidating that they decided that they wanted to give up over that. Or it was the threat of all the other things that were out there that get them to back down. But that should give us a truce with Austria. Now, I still don't quite know how truces work because, in other games, it's possible to kind of bypass truces by drawing them into wars through others. I can't attack Austria directly for 3 years. No. 5 years. Okay. I can't attack them directly for the next 5 years, but that doesn't mean we can't indirectly engage in conflict again, as in if I immediately turn around and decide, Brazil, you're next, Austria could step up. So let's see what happens. They think Uruguay is going to side with Brazil. If I attack Brazil now, Austria, France, Bolivia, possible entries into the war, but it's not like they believe they'll side with them anymore. So at the very least, it's going to make them think twice about get out of the first phase with no support. Austria is leaning their way. Uruguay is leading their way. Nobody else is. Austria sides with Brazil. There you go. It's on once again. Now, in this case, I don't think I want to necessarily take anything from Austria. I want to get them out of the war cheaply on the white peace as early as possible, so I'm not going to establish any Austrian war goals, but we do need to get troops on those couple alternative, that West African and Japanese fronts, so that we can just get them out of the war quickly if we are at a stalemate with Brazil. And then, once they are out, rolling over Brazil would be quite easy. Brazil backs down. They didn't want the fight. So we've gotten a big chunk of the Amazon now, most of it now. And that's that. So one more conflict out of the way. Anyway, who is left of this? Paraguay still exists. Do we have an opportunity to go to war with you? We do. So goodbye, Paraguay. So far, no one's stepping up to support Paraguay, and they actually have their own liberal revolt happening as we speak. So are we going to be able to take all the lands, or are we only going to get a small pocket? Entering the final phase, they back down, and that's all we get. That's all we get was that little pocket. So now there's Paraguay, who we don't have a diplomatic play against. Interesting how that one worked out. You have to know how this one's going by now. I'm just rolling at this point, even though Austria is still very much a threat. But I'm trying to pick my battles as we go through on how we do this. But anyway, 8 years to go. Austria could still join in. Brazil could join in as we make now a play on Bolivia. Here's the thing about making a play on Bolivia. The reality, their nation is entirely within our border now. They are entirely surrounded by us, besides Ecuador. So unless you were to fly planes, which it's 1928 and you're not going to do that, unless you are going to arrive through some magic teleport, you'd have to go through our borders to get to the front. They shouldn't be able to reach the front. Bolivia would be crazy not to back down on this one, but we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen. But this would be total nation absorption we'd conquer the entire thing if they don't back down. No possible plays on the others. Wondering if you can only make one diplomatic maneuver at a time. Entering final stage, and nobody was joining them. They end up backing down. So that's that for now. We add another state in. And yes, now Ecuador is suddenly available. Same thing here with Ecuador. For now, we have the opportunity to take all of Ecuador and Bolivia if they don't back down. Otherwise, Ecuador will cease to exist as the next election finishes with the Communist Party once again in charge. The new Socialist Party is second highest in the voting. Ecuador backs down, so Ecuador ceases to exist, and Bolivia gets lucky twice. Okay, Venezuela, we can attack them now, so state of Miranda will be the next one. Italy may side with them, others may join in, of course. And Venezuela has backed down, so another state in our control, but they still exist. They have one remaining, but South America get closer and closer that we might just be able to make it before the end of this playthrough. But the difficult thing is when you only get one state at a time, and then you have a truce. And Graupera has backed down, so there is the latest acquisition. It's getting closer all the time, and so is that end of the playthrough. Might be time to get after that British Republic, though. They themselves are still very weak. There's a chance that they're probably going to want to back down and not fight anymore. A lot of shared territory, though, so multiple fronts to fight on. I think we'll start with Newfoundland. I think Austria will probably side with them. Uruguay would be a good addition. But let's do it. It's time. Alright, so I've got my war goals put in. They're looking to liberate Quebec, which would open Canada up quite a bit, and liberate Cuba. For us, that's really a minor hurting here at the end of this playthrough, if that's the case. Facing a lot of enemies, though. A lot. But for now, I mean, the direct number is not bad. It's when you add in everybody else. East India Company territory, all the minor nations in there is the main thing that we are facing. So there's a lot of total units, but a lot of them are not terribly powerful. But Austria is. So Austria is a serious threat on this one and could put a wrench in it. So as Uruguay has joined in as well, but I do not have the ability for a war goal with them, but I am going to need, well, we've got 3 to hold them off. Once they conquer that land, they can shift over here. They'll be okay. Right now we're kind of leading on every front, but you can see there's a lot coming this direction. This might be happening, folks. I think there's a chance. It's 1,000 units. And they back down. They back down. And we get Newfoundland. North America is 100% ours, with the exception of 2 little Caribbean pockets. France, British Republic, all that are left holding on in there. Alright, we're going to go after Paraguay again. The alternative Paraguay. It's just got to keep rolling, folks. 1930. But I am out of time. This is a lot. This is some serious growth that we've been into. We are a 589 level pariah now. We're playing the game, folks. We are playing the game. And my oh my, are we playing to its strengths. Yet somehow Austria is out prestiging us. They are losing war after war and not losing any prestige from it. But they are not the opposition. Everybody keeps backing down when Austria is in the side. So apparently you're not punished when you are not the one who does the backing down. In the meantime, though, I mean, we're almost 4,000 ahead of Italy in second place. This is a 2-horse race. And we are almost 200 million ahead in GDP. We've made up a lot of ground in standard of living, and our population is approaching double what theirs is. But right now we're losing some money again. We had gotten just out of debt, but we're back down to a credit of 4.5 million. The oil has been an issue of late. The market has been greatly in need of it, but we're bringing that price down a bit slowly. I've added in a good 4,000, and we're working on some more, and that'll help. That'll help with that price. The oil is expensive, so that's a big one. Looks like food needs to be addressed, and again, clothing, luxury clothing, is way behind where we're at with that one. Where we need to be at. Glass is behind, but we've made a lot of progress. I do need to check in because it's been a while since I've gone down. It looks like we have a good shortage on silk, so you definitely want to address that. We have opium shortage, but that's fine. That's barely anything wants to trade with us anymore, as we are massive pariah, and that's the only big need we have there. So some silk. Overall, we're doing just fine on that front. We're actually acquiring new units as we're acquiring new lands. But in terms of the mission to paint the map blue, the Americas in particular, we're running out of time, and there's those peace treaties and there's those nations that don't want to fight. That's going to make it hard to complete, but I'm loving it. I mean, we are doing such a bang up job of eliminating, all land threats in North America are gone. I mean, the furthest north land-based opposition in the Americas is Venezuela, which we just took a state from them. I mean, you're all the way down to South America for anything. We're about to take one more little pocket, and we've already got treaties with these guys. France is a target we could go after here soon, because they have those two little pieces of resistance that we need to get through. And British Republic is down to two little pockets of their own that's left, but we've chased them on out. And if those are all blocked off, I might have to turn my attention elsewhere in the next episode. Some Oceania / Southeast Asia, maybe a little Africa expansion before we run out of time. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.